Hello, I'm Daina Moore, and we're here sitting down with Peter Bolane, one of our 2022 North San Diego County Realtors Board of Directors. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks so much.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts and advising some new agents, maybe some seasoned agents. And I'd love to hear your perspective and your answers. And we'll get started with, if you were mentoring a new agent, what advice would you give them when they meet with a prospective buyer?
I would say that it's important to have systems in place. That applies, of course, to both buyers and sellers. All the transactions are unique, but having said that, there's a lot of similarity amongst them. So having a concrete system in place, make sure that you're organized, you don't skip anything, and that you're treating everybody equitably and fairly.
Give me an example of your system for buyers. Do you have a specific process?
Well, for buyers, I'd like to start off with a buyer questionnaire. And aside from the common questions, what's the price point, beds, baths, square footage, you need to dive a little bit deeper into their motivations. So have they talked to a lender? A lot of times they'll tell you, yes, oh sure, I've talked to a lender. I've been working with Bank of America for 12 years. Well, you need to get a pre-approval letter, which might take another week or so. So let's get started on that. Is there anyone else helping you with this process? Sometimes you'll be looking at homes and then you find out later that mom and dad need to weigh in. So it's important to know that ahead of time so you can kind of bring them into the fold.
And what other advice would you give besides the great advice you already have?
I am a big fan of processes, systems, because what we do is repeatable. Like the buyer questionnaire, you want to always be improving your process. So you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Certainly I've made my share. I remember not too long ago, I had forgotten we had negotiated a request for repairs, and I'd forgotten to send the amendment on to escrow. So after escrow, where's the money? It all worked out in the end. It was fine, but it was 2 weeks of headaches because I'd forgotten to do this one thing. So guess what? That gets added to my process. So next time I do it, I'll never make that mistake again. But that applies to your wins and your losses. So if something I did and the clients really liked it, I take note of it. Hey, they really liked when I gave them that spreadsheet for the inspection report. It was really well received when I did this, so I'll write that down. And same with the other agent. If I'm learning from them, did they do something I like? I got a report from an agent once about, hey, this is what day trash day is. This is their favorite gardener. They don't like their internet service provider. It's like, that's a really nice touch. And so I incorporate that into my system. So you have to be constantly evolving. The market's evolving, so you should be evolving along with it.
What are the things you did that, looking back, you maybe would have avoided?
I would actually go the other direction and say don't avoid anything. Be open to experimenting and trying new processes, new tools, and see what works. I was given a handful of tools when I first started, but it didn't work for me. But that's okay. You have to figure that out because that might have worked for somebody else. So you have to be willing to try new concepts, and if they work, great, and if not, then abandon them. But I think the only thing to avoid is complacency, not doing anything new or not trying anything, then you're just going to be left behind.
And what do you believe is the most underutilized tool that is currently available to our members?
I am a big fan of home decks, packed with a lot of good information, but information by itself can sometimes be boring. So I am a big believer that it needs to look interesting, and I think that home decks does that. It's a small little one-page document, but it looks nice, it's easy to read, to get what you're looking at, and it's all right there. I can find reports for myself to quickly get a snapshot of what's going on in the market. I can give it to my clients so they can have a realistic expectation of what's moving, what's not, and I can post it on social media. So it's a real versatile tool.
Well, I thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope we can do this again soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
And thank you for joining us for more conversations.